Before I start with my typical narration, take a moment to read this little bit of ad copy here. This is from a 1928 ad for Westclox. We see a Big Ben Deluxe and a Baby Ben Deluxe with the crackle finish. And here, appearing for the first time in film, is my collection of Style 1A and Style 2 Big Bens. This clock that's out in front here is my oldest Big Ben. It is a Style 1A made around 1921. This particular style dial here, with Westclox in italics and Big Ben in capital letters, was made, I believe, from 1919 to 1923. So that's a real easy way of dating one of these. And then behind it is a row of peg leg Model 1As. Here's one made between 1928 and 1935. I had all these apart before. The movements are all stamped with the dates, but it's been a while on some of these since I've had them apart to remember what the dates are. But I'm sort of making this video as kind of a rough guide for all of you, if you have one of these, of determining when it was made. Most of the common clocks of this type that you're going to see were made in the 1920s. Said 1928 to 1935. The reason you can tell this is the extension on the X and Westclox. Here's one that was made, I believe it was between 1923 and 1925. It has the narrow lettering at the bottom. The ones made between 1925 and 1926, the letters extend just beyond these two marks here, but the ones between 23 and 25, the letters stay confined within those two marks there. Here's one with a Luminous Dial, also made around the same time frame. And then here's one that I made out of a parts clock. You're not going to see this anywhere else unless you've made one yourself. This is a Big Ben with a seconds hand. The fourth wheel is located in just the perfect position for mounting an extension and then mounting a seconds hand. And I made this by scanning the dial from this clock here and copying the alarm bit and superimposing it down there. The distance from this hand shaft here and the shaft here is exactly 1 inch. I still need to finish it off. I never got beyond this sort of mock-up phase here, but not bad for a parts clock. And on the back row here are the Style 2s, and I have quite a nice little range of Style 2s here. Here's an early Style 2 from 1927, before they had Deluxe written on them. It just says Westclox Big Ben. And here's a very nice Style 2 Luminous Dial. This is a little bit later Style 2. These were made between 1931 and 1933 with the solid color instead of the crackle finish. And has the gold-leafed numerals This clock, someone had stripped the paint off of it when I bought it and had tried to polish just the brass, the bare brass, so I refinished it in what my opinion of the original color was. Some people say it should be a little darker. And rather disappointingly, this is the first Style 2 I bought. Rather disappointingly, someone had painted it ivory at some point in its life, but beneath the ivory paint, it is the same clock that's in this picture here with the blue finish. And then here's an example of how that crackle finish tends to wear. I've seen some really good examples of it where it's nice and bright still. This is one with a luminous dial. It would have been made between 1928 and 1930 for the crackle finish. And then the solid finish, like this, was made from 1931 to 1933. The clocks in the nickel finish, such as this and this, were made from 1927 to 1933. The Style 1A clocks with the peg leg feet were made from 1919 to 1935. So quite a long production run on them. Almost the longest run. I think it was the Style 9 Big Bens were made from 1980 to 2001 that broke the record. Took it away from the Style 1As. I also want to talk a little bit about the controls on top, because I've heard some pretty fanciful descriptions of these controls. This one here from 1921, the lettering is quite small. This later one here, the lettering is quite large, so you can see. But there's two controls. Move these around, get better light. On this side of the clock, above the 1 and the 2, is the on-off, silent, and alarm. Silent if you don't want the clock to ring, and alarm if you want it to ring. And then the other feature that these clocks had was the steady and the repeat. And in steady mode, when the alarm trips at the set time, it just rings continuously until you either silence it with the switch or the spring runs down. In the repeat mode, there is a cam-operated lever, the cam being on the third arbor, that causes the alarm to sort of stop and go. It will ring for, I've never really timed it, I want to say maybe 10 or 15 seconds, and there'll be about 20 seconds of silence. Then it will ring for 10 to 15 seconds, then there'll be another 20 seconds of silence when it's in the repeat mode. Like I said, that's bypassed in the steady position. All of these clocks, all of the Style 1s and Style 2s had this feature. I'm going to look at this one here. There it is, steady, repeat, silent, and alarm. Even on the very fancy one here. Silent, alarm, steady, repeat. Starting with the Style 4 Big Bens, the loud alarm models, and going through to the Style 6 models, all used the same basic movement with the exception of the fact that you could not defeat the repeat feature, starting with the Style 4 bends to the Style 6 bends. The clock always operated as a repeater. It was just the Style 1s and Style 2s where you had the option of defeating the repeat feature and having just a steady alarm. But there you have it. I invite you to follow the link in the description for much more detailed information. on these clocks in case I've messed anything up, and I'm sure I did, going from memory like I am. I apologize in advance. But I hope this clears the air and provides a nice little guide to these very wonderful clocks. Thanks for watching.